Hey guys, welcome back. Today's a very exciting episode of Metal Casting, episode 1.
Alright, so the very first thing before we cast is I actually am going to design the pendant or ring in this software here. So for this example, these are 4 gemstones laid out in a particular manner, how I think it's going to look in a pendant. And then I'm going to draw around the actual metal, and we're going to figure out exactly how this is going to create a formed, finished metal pendant. Now once I actually finish the design, here we have a 3D printer, and the idea is that this metal plate here actually goes and submerges into this goo, and I have a little USB stick sticking out of the side, and that's how I upload my files for the pendants that I'm going to create. So this actually goes down and submerges in the goo, and once it's done, it actually pulls out a little 3-dimensional resin piece of plastic. Now right here is a resin mold that I've printed, and as you can see there's actually 3 gemstones in it. These are all original designs of mine. And what I do is I ensure that they're actually going to fit into this resin. And once I know that it fits in the resin, I'm going to be able to cast this into metal, and that will translate to a pendant where it has the perfect voids for these gemstones to fit into. For my first casting, I'm using Delft clay, and I'm going to be casting a ring that I've designed. And this tube is actually going to create the center of the ring where your finger is going to go. I'm going to try and remove this. That actually looks pretty good.
Okay, so it's pretty late at night, but I was just too excited to not do this.
Okay, so I have this silver here. There's our little funnel. We're going to dump that into there.
Just going to kind of stand back a little bit here. I'm not 100% sure what to expect. Oh my god. Whoa, guys. Oh my god, I just saw it vaporize. That was incredible. Whoa. Okay. That was really cool. Alright, the issue I'm having now is I've instantly vaporized this, and it's just the angle of my torch doesn't shoot straight down. So I guess I'm just gonna blast my torch at it like this. So the moment that this actually breaks into a liquid is pretty phenomenal to see in person behind the glasses here. I will admit it's taking substantially longer to melt this than I had anticipated.
And as you can see here, that didn't work at all. In fact, I actually melted the handle on this. And I believe that's actually steam coming off, not smoke, because I just dunked this in water. She is still toasty. The idea this time is I put some grooves into the graphite, and I'm going to thread this handle on after I've heated the metal, the silver here, so it doesn't melt the handle again. Holy!
Yeah, that's insane.
I'm not sure if that's going to be seen on camera, but this graphite pad was actually skipping up there, and there was condensation forming underneath, superheating, turning to steam, and launching this pad up. Now obviously there wasn't water on this, if you're thinking that. I've seen this happen before, and it's a very strange phenomenon, that's for sure, but I've never seen it actually get underneath the graphite and lift it like that. That was pretty dangerous, actually.
Okay, I'm going for it. All right.
So I've opened this in half. You can actually see the prongs there peering through. And I'm going to get this out and we're going to see if we got a ring or not. I'm dying to see right now. Holy! Oh my god! So I'm gonna need to still drill some stuff out because there's still a spot underneath that should have been an air hole for the gem to sit. But I mean, we did it. It's a completed ring. This is absolutely phenomenal. Alright, so I cast this ring, and it turned out pretty good, but one of the 6 prongs is barely there. And I could get the gem setter to do a micro weld and add a little prong on. But I think I'm just going to actually cast this again. So I'd say for my first casting, it went pretty good. I do still have the original wax, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to repack another Delft clay for a sand casting, and we're going to cast this a second time with some spare silver I have, and we're going to see which ring is superior, and I'll give that one to the gem setter. So I'm going to do that right now because I want to tour over there to get this kind of started this afternoon here. So let's do it.
All right, I'm hoping that went well. We're gonna let this cool off for a second, and then I'm gonna go in there and see how we did. Not good.
Okay, so to call it how it is, the sand castings were a complete fail. Now, this one here is probably the best one we got. And the issue I found with the sand casting is these little prongs are just too intricate and detailed for it to be able to cast adequately. You can see these are 3 attempts in this, but I've taken probably closer to 7 attempts, and it's just not working out. Now those are the rings, and this is an attempt on pendant number 1, which again did not really come out to the quality that I'm looking for. We're trying to make world-class stuff here, and this just isn't going to cut it. Okay, so the sand castings just aren't working, but don't worry, I'm a man with a plan, and we're going to do the lost wax casting. Now what this is, we're going to be using a plaster opposed to wax. It's a little more expensive to do this method. You need a kiln, which is okay. I am capable of building another kiln. My first kiln that I had built with my glass blowing studio was kind of just getting old and a little run down, and there was some issues with the thermocouple and some of the wiring needed to be updated. So what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to build another kiln, and we're going to make our way into the plaster casting world. All right, so we're in my garage. I don't normally shoot in here. So what's going on is I'm going to be building this kiln right here. Now essentially this is an old fireplace, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be lining the inside of it with this soft fire brick. Now I've carved out channels, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Kanthal wire, which I have right here, and it's basically wound up like a slinky, and this is actually going to be run through the insulating fire brick to create an element that's going to heat the inside of this. So basically I've already drilled holes at the back. I'm just kind of marking out this spot that I need to do for my thermocouple. And this right here is made of ceramic, and it's basically a thermometer.
It's going to go in the back, and it's going to give a readout to my thermocouple, which is essentially a computer that allows me to program in the temperatures and the kiln cycle that I'm going to run for the burnout phase of this flask, which is going to contain my 3D printed molds. I'm going to be doing the plaster technique, and in order to do that, I need a vacuum chamber. I need to basically vacuum this plaster to remove the excess air, and what it's going to do is it's going to surround my resin molds, which I'm going to burn out in a kiln, and then there's going to be a void that's caught inside of the plaster, and that void is going to be where I pour the metal. So this just showed up. Looks like I got a second ring here. Oh, I got an idea. Maybe they want that ring to go on here. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to get right to this. I'm going to go right to the garage, and I'm going to cut a hole in the top of this with my hole saw, and we're going to hope that this all works out. By the way, I am somewhat of a hack job engineer. I do not have a degree in any manner, and I'm pretty sure, in theory, this should all work. So, if I'm wrong, it's a couple $100 down the drain. If I'm right, it's thousands of dollars saved. So, I thought, you know what? I like those odds. We're going for it. And here is the pressure gauge. After installation, cut the top of the cap as shown. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So again, we're going to get right to this. I got a little kit right here, and I'm going to take this instruction manual, throw it in the garbage. And now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this vacuum chamber and I'm going to cut a big old hole in the lid. And hopefully my theory of what I'm trying to build will work, but I'm pretty sure it will. So let's just get right to it. We're going to go to the garage and get this started up. Got my little table set up, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a hole saw right here. We're going to throw this on, and we're kind of just going to hope that this works. So let's say right there works. Now, I just happen to have a hole saw kit laying around the garage, and the thing is, the hole saw is 2.5 inches wide, which is the exact dimension of this flask. So worst case, once I drill this out, what I might have to do is actually sand this down to make it slightly larger. Now, of course, I'm voiding the warranty and the return process on this thing right now, so really hoping this works. Well, there's always unexpected problems with projects. This was not one that I had anticipated. The hole is the perfect dimensions, just fits, which is how we wanted it, nice and snug because we're making a vacuum chamber. And I'm just going to sand the burrs out so it's a little more even. Alright, so we got the hole successfully cut out. Now I made this little gasket out of a piece of silicone so that when I put this in and I press down when there's a vacuum, this should hopefully create a seal. And I have a washer and a little plastic for a gasket for here, and I'm just going to set this up now. So here's the finished kiln. Now, it was actually an old fireplace, and as you can see, I have a bunch of bricks, all my soft fire brick that I have left over, as well as some garden bricks here. Now, the idea for this is basically to create a battery of heat. So as these bricks absorb heat, it's going to help retain heat inside. And I'm actually ramping this up right now to 732 degrees Celsius. So This is my PID controller, and it's essentially a programmable oven. You see how it says hold here, it's flashing. I actually program a schedule for it to ramp up heat. It starts at 150 and progressively moves up like steps to 350, 400. It's got a whole little program. So right now it's ramping up, and as you can see, it's extremely efficient. This is in Celsius, and look how quick we're climbing here. It's almost every second. Actually, less than every second, we're climbing a degree Celsius. So now let's just take a little look inside here. I actually changed the way the element was coiled through here. The Kanthal wire came in like a U, went against the back wall, created a U, and up out the back. And what I've actually got here is the electrical. There's the PID controller. And I don't want to touch anything here, I'll get shocked, but this is the electrical, which runs a cord down to my PID controller. So I'll show you guys inside. It's going to be glowing super red. And as you can see, it's working amazing. Now I've actually stuffed the top with a fire blanket. That's what's up top there, and actually in the door. Now, quick shout out to Osborne Fabrication. He actually helped fabricate this door for me. This was originally glass, as this was a fireplace. And the deal is this needed to be able to withstand higher temperatures than a normal fire. So I got him to cut me a piece of steel. Now, I'm leaving you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. This episode's been super long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here. This has been Metal Casting Episode 1. Part 2 is going to be on the way. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe if you're not. Like the video. Give it a share. I'm going to see you guys on the next episode. Take it easy.